We are back this week on Bucks and Brews. Nick and I have talked a lot lately. We did another debt talk on Saturday, followed it up with two quick kids videos. The kids video on Sunday, which will be posted soon. And now we're here. It's Tuesday again, and we're going to talk credit scores. Before we get to credit scores, Nick, I got two beers with me here. One I have never tried. I'm excited. Brew Brewing Company in Allendale.
Yeah.
Vanilla Von Doom.
Okay.
I love vanilla porters.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to try that. And I'm still enjoying the 12 days of Christmas with a Rochester Mills chocolate chip pancake milkshake stout.
All right. See, that's not bad.
What do you have?
I'm joining you because I've started my 12 days of milkshake stouts. Yesterday I had peanut butter cup. Today I'm having Imperial Java milkshake stout from Rochester Mills Brewing. They paired with white pine coffee. Must be a big place over in the east side of Michigan there. So really excited. My wife took her a little bit, so she doesn't really like Imperial. So I mean, she took a sip just to say she tried it.
You tell me, what do you think of that one?
I really enjoy that. So
all right, I'll let you know on this.
Yeah, and then the other one, of course, right? I brought out the world-class award-winning Wisconsin Belgian Red from New Glarus, just because I seen it. I was like, that is so delicious. I really want a great beer. But so I'm really excited for this Imperial Java. I love Imperials, right? Dark, heavy. I mean, my goal is to eat my beer with a spoon, and so very excited.
Yeah, I will say this vanilla porter.
Yeah,
good taste.
I enjoy Trail Point. Like, it's not huge, right? It's just it feels like you're pretty welcome, like a normal bar that just happens to have really good beer.
Yeah, this is very kind of understated. The vanilla's not overpowering. It's nice and refreshing. It's a light beer.
Good.
So, especially for a porter. I mean, I expect my porters to be a little hearty, and this one, I could probably drink 3 or 4 of these and not feel too much.
Yeah,
7%. It's 7%. I probably couldn't drink that many, but it feels like I could.
So, one thing I love about how they do this for their milkshake stouts is they have like kind of everything about it, right? It's a malt blend. It talks about Pilsner's chocolate, crystal biscuit, black, white, wheat, dark Belgian caramel, and featured hop is a Magnum hop. So that's really awesome. Like, if you're into brewing and home brewing, right, it tells you, hey, if you want to make something like this, here's what you're going to have to go with. And the lactose, of course, right? So milk sugar makes it really smooth. I look forward to Christmas because of beer. So, but, really excited about today's episode.
Well, before we hop into today's episode, because Christmas is coming up, let's talk about what's coming up on our show. So next week, because it's the week of Christmas, we're going to start Tuesday with our first in our debt series. We were joined by Eric Bolter, who's an old high school football teammate of mine, and he talks about his debt journey and what he's doing to right the ship. And we're going to upload that. We'll be uploading those for the next 3 weeks, but that doesn't mean Nick and I won't still pop on and do a show because, this is Bucks and Brews, and I was thinking about this, and I haven't talked to Nick about it yet, but I'm sure he'll be into this. Nick, I think the week of New Year's, I think we should have a beer-centric show where we won't talk as much about money. We'll just talk about what we like here.
I'm all about that, but it's going to be centered around returning our bottles for the money. So
that's fine.
No, yeah, right. I think going into the new year, we all need a little refreshment. We'll talk about exactly what we're planning. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I drink champagne on New Year every year. So,
well, I'm going to send a message right now to Mike and let him know that will be an episode he needs to be on for, because we know he has definite beer opinions.
Yeah. So that means I'm gonna have to break out some of my things in my cellar. I'm breaking out some real good fine china. I'm letting you people know that. We're gonna take a stroll into the life of me. It's not a great life, but somebody's got to live it, and it might as well be me. So
absolutely. As you were going to say earlier, Nick, about tonight's episode.
No, just I'm really excited because I think it's really fun to have conversations with people about credit score, right? And you got the people that are like, oh, I can get approved for, I'm an 800, 850, a perfect credit. Okay, like, congrats. And then you got the people who, oh, you shouldn't have any credit. No credit's the best credit, and you can do everything. And it's like, all right, there's different sides to things. There's debates. And I really enjoy having that conversation with people, because no matter what side you're on, I can take the same side or the opposite, right? I will add value to any part of the conversation that you want. So,
well, you bring up a great point there. So let's talk about having no credit. All right.
Yep.
So, obviously 2020, we've had a big issue with the finances in the world, and a lot of people are homeless looking for work. So there's a guy that stations himself on the off-ramp at 68th Street from 131. Okay.
Yep.
So Don's bought him lunch before, and he always has a sign, we'll work for food or money. Never is asking for handouts, really. He wants to work. So she had to move some stuff the other day, and she asked him, if I paid you, $10 an hour, would you move stuff? And he's like, absolutely. So she picked him up and kind of got a little bit of his story. And, listening to him, he was taught by his parents never to have debt. So he's never had a credit card. He's never had a mortgage. He's paid for everything in cash. So when he lost his job, he just thought, I'd turn around and I'd find one right away. And he didn't. And because he has no credit, now he's stuck because he can't get a lease. He can't get a house. He's just kind of bouncing from friend to friend.
Sure. And it's saying, that's right. That's a side of things. And then, what people, the other side of the argument is people will say, well, that's when you save up your money so you can put a big enough deposit down, and you can put a big enough down payment down, right? And people forget that there's times like this where you need to do something, and not everybody has family and friends, right? As sad as that sounds, I mean, let's say you moved into it. I know somebody who was promised a job. They left from Grand Rapids, went to Washington, got to Washington, got to their job, and they were there for 3 months, and then they were like, oh, sorry, we have to let you go, right? So they moved, did everything, got paid a really great salary, and then now they have nothing, right? They haven't had time to build these relationships. And, so what do you do? You just put all your money into a down payment on a place. Now you have to break a lease, which costs you, 2 months worth of rent bare minimum. And so I understand when you're not trying to go into debt, how hard it is. So.
Yeah. And, credit means something different to everybody. So we've talked a lot about make sure, if you're buying something on credit, you have the money to pay for it. Credit success today, my daughter paid off her car.
There you go.
Fully paid for. She doesn't have that bill anymore. She also tried to give me a heart attack today, so she'd have a lot more money. We were talking about budgeting because, as Nick knows, budgeting is the most important thing that we talk about. And I've been bothering my daughter for almost a year now on what does your budget look like? And of course, she doesn't have one yet. And she goes, well, I know my money's in the red.
Really?
And I damn near had a heart attack. And then she goes, oh, wait, I meant black.
Let's say, put it all in the red, baby.
And I looked at her and I said, were you trying to make it even more black by killing me off right now?
Yep. I know it's in the red. That's what counts. Wow.
Yep. It was, and of course, Dawn's sitting here at the time and she goes, you know, your dad's going to talk about this with Nick tonight. And she goes, yeah, I
know. You know, so, right. And it's fun. I love how open we are. So, like, everybody is watching, right? Like, David's got a 26-year-old daughter, 26-year-old daughter, right? Who has a dad that is a financial guy doing a podcast. I mean, we're not big wigs or anything. We're at least selling ourselves out there. And right, it's not like he has his daughter doing this stuff on a constant. It's not like she's practicing everything that we preach. You don't have to be perfect, right? But you have to understand, like, but when Caitlin has an issue, she comes to dad and says, hey, how can I fix this, right? She knows how to look at things and say, hey, I caught this pretty quickly. How can I stop this? Hey, I'm looking to purchase this condo. Can you help me run through these numbers? Hey, without going to the person that's going to tell you, we talk about, mortgage lenders or whatever. They're going to tell you can afford whatever. No, like dad can tell you, hey, this is where we're at.
Well, that's a great point you bring up, Nick. So we had Rob on a couple weeks ago. Yeah. And Rob talked about the difference between brokers and lenders. Now, before we bought our first place, we had met with a broker who, of course, we go and look at this house. It's a shell of a house, basically, in Byron Center. Needs a lot of work. It's listed for $150,000. I'm thinking, yeah, I'd buy that for like $110,000. So it needs a lot of work.
Yeah.
So like a week later, the broker, which I didn't know at the time was a broker, called me back and he's like, all right, well, we're going to offer $150,000 on this. I said, the hell we are. What are you talking about? He goes, well, we'll just put you in an adjustable rate mortgage and no big deal. You'll be fine. I'm like, no, I can't afford that. I know what I can afford. That ain't it.
Yep.
So, I mean, you have to have somebody in your life where you can go, hey, what do you think about this? And I do that too. When, the condo was progressing, what happened, Nick? You get a text from me?
Say, text or a phone call. Hey, what do you think? Hey, what do you think about this? Hey, what would you, and that's fine. Like, that's a good thing to rely on, right? I mean, I turn around and do the same thing. I mean, I did it to Rob. It was funny because I built a relationship with Rob and we didn't talk about it much. I could have gotten money to renovate my first house and I didn't. And he's like, hey, but you can get approved. Let's do some. And I was like, nope. And then so like he understood where my mindset wanted to be. And I think that built a good relationship with him because the next time I go to buy, I went to go buy a $400,000 primary house, years ago or whatever. And he's like, is it your dream? And I was like, it's really close. And he's like, this doesn't sound like something that you normally buy. I just want to make sure that you know that you can't buy something for a long time. And I was like, he goes, you're gonna be paying and I was like, man, that makes sense. I was like, I'll just suck it up here, right? And then so instead I ended up buying like 3 other properties that year. So, but because of having somebody to bring you back into reality, like you don't need instant gratifications all the time. If you want instant gratification, go buy yourself a filet mignon, right? Like, get a good steak. Don't buy a damn house. So, my midlife crisis, I buy a used motorcycle. Yes, I consider myself midlife at 32 because let's be honest, I don't plan to make it past 43. So.
Well, and the other thing that I think is important for anybody watching to know. So I call Nick to bounce financial stuff off him. He calls me to bounce financial stuff off me. Hey, we're resources out there. We give you our email address. We give you our phone numbers. You have millions of ways to contact us through the Bucks and Brews website or Twitter or Facebook. Contact us, use us. We love to talk about this stuff. So we had a financial consult on Saturday, and I promise we will get to the credit score at some point here, but we had a financial consult on Saturday, and while we're doing that, it was somebody I know, somebody Nick does not know. And Nick sat there and he goes, I want to get your phone number. I want to make sure that on Monday you do these things I've told you to do. And I can't wait to work through this with you. And that's powerful for people. So, it's not like we're sitting here talking and we're like, yeah, this is what I say, and go figure it out on your own. We don't, really care. We're going to sell you a book like Dave Ramsey. We're not doing that. We
Yeah,
actually.
I'm not. I'm gonna have to pay somebody to write my book for me.
We're not. Here's a quick fix and we're out. Okay. I get a text yesterday from Gary. He says, these are the things I did. I automatically just forward that to Nick. What'd you say, Nick?
Oh man, I was so happy. Like I was on cloud nine. I was like, I said something to the case of, this is fantastic. This guy doesn't understand how much of an impact on his own life he just made, because he doesn't see it yet. But like I was ecstatic. Yeah, really, it's just somebody to listen and take steps. And now we get to see this proof of it's going to work. I'm so excited for it.
We really want to celebrate these successes with you guys. If something we do helps, we want to be able to celebrate that, because that's awesome.
For sure.
It's a powerful thing. You look in other fields and people aren't necessarily happy. Like, we've talked before, I'm a coach. Okay. If I don't know you or I don't like you, I'm probably not going to celebrate whatever victories you have. I don't really care. Okay. The friends I have in coaching, I care about their victories, but everybody else, screw them. They're opponents of mine. I hate them. But in finances, I'm not competing with anybody. It's not like Nick and I are sitting here, fighting for a penny. We're sitting here rooting each other on. If Nick does great on a real estate deal, I'm thrilled for him. If I buy a stock that triples, he's thrilled for me. And we'll be thrilled for you people too. Contact us. Let us know. Let us help. We love it.
Yeah. Let's say, and if anything you've gotten from us, I know we do it at the end, but like, subscribe, share. It helps us help you. Because there's a million people with a million questions. Actually, I don't even know, 800 million people or something like that. So, but anyway, back to some credit score. I really think credit score is it's the best thing in the world, right? I mean, because you have a credit score, you can go out and get financed for things. And sometimes that's where the issue becomes, right? You go finance things that you shouldn't finance. And I think that's where education needs to come in, right? Like, this is where the numbers need to play an effect. We've talked to a lot of people, they get into car debt, right? I'm finding car debt to be the biggest debt for people right now. And it just, it blows my mind, because, there's parts of me that's kind of okay that I grew up poor, right? I mean, I didn't have a new car. I didn't have a reliable transportation. But, once I got, let's call it $5,000, right? And I paid cash for a I mean, that car was so reliable, and it still is. I mean, that car lasted me 10 years, where these people are paying $50,000 for that car, and I just got it with a few miles on it. So, that I didn't have to rush and buy it. I didn't have to do it. I didn't have to pull credit for it. So I think that's where the smart thing is. When it comes to housing, right? Credit score is key there, because you're paying a specific. If listen to our listen to our episodes about real estate or lending, we talk about different interest rates and things like that. But so if you're what do we say right now? You need 580 to get approved at some places. So 580 to 640, you're going to get a little higher of an interest rate. 640 to 720, you're going to get a little bit lower than that first one, and then basically 720 and above. Doesn't matter if you're. That's what pisses me off. Is like, right, I could have 721 and this person could have 851. And they're like, oh, I have the greatest. And I'm like, yeah, but I get the same discount you do. It doesn't matter if it's 1 or 100. But so find out whatever you want to buy and find out what that perfect sweet spot is, right? And I usually find 720 to be really, if you have 720, you're going to get the max discount on everything you ever buy. There's never anything in this world where they're like, you may only have perfect credit, right? It's not a thing. You're not getting more of a discount being up in the 800s. You're not getting a discount for anything more than what another person that has good credit, or great credit. I think it's broke down to right categories of good, perfect, or good, great, perfect.
Well, when we talk about credit score, in layman's terms, what that means is your FICO score, okay? Because that's your credit score. And there's 5 components that go into that. Accounts owed, your payment history, new credit that you've taken on recently, length of credit history, and your credit mix. And out of all of those, the most important is your payment history. That accounts for 35% of your score. Following that is amounts owed is 30%, length is 15, and then the mix and the new credit is 10% each. So you can tell right away that your payment history is going to be the most important thing that they are basing your credit off of. But even with that, it's only about a third of your score.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, if you can play the system, right, and borrow money, pay it off, open new lines, right? So the more you understand this, yeah, the better your credit's going to be. So when you go to buy a house, they ask you, hey, or they pull your credit and they say, hey, oh, you have this little bit open on a card. We need you to pay that off, because it's the quick things that help you get that credit score just up the couple points that you're going to need. They look at, so they look at how much your debt to income is on those things, right? And basically credit, right? Credit is your debt capabilities, right? How much you're able to take on off of your income, right? So if you make 30,000 a year and you have $30,000 in debt, right? You're maxed out 100%. I mean, your income, you'll never catch up. So that's why they say, right? I mean, there's no written proof out there, but they say, hey, keep it less than 30% on your credit cards, never go past it. And that's why, right? So when you have a $10,000 limit, $3,000 is what you should pay max, right? And then if you need to buy something bigger, put it on different cards and stuff. But it's just to show that your income can stay there. I mean, it shows that you could pay that down.
Yeah, and when we're looking at things, there's certain things that you do that will sit on your credit for, X number of years. So like credit inquiries, Nick's talking about it right now. That it's a small impact to your credit, but every time you try to gain credit somewhere. So for me, I had my credit pulled in, I think it was late August, to going on a possible condo with my daughter. I had it pulled again end of October, talking about a refi with Rob. My wife got a new credit card that she added me to early October. So that was 3 pulls on my credit in basically, a month and a half, 2 months. They're going to sit on my account for 2 years. It's a small impact, but it's still an impact. And the more inquiries you have, the more credit companies look at you and they say, boy, this person's trying to get credit a lot of places. Why? What are they trying to do with this? Are they able to actually pay this back? And Nick brought up debt to income. So, when you look at debt to income, you look at your house. So I owe $101,000 on my house. You look at your vehicle. I owe $5,800 left on my vehicle. You look at all of your credit cards. I probably charge between all of my cards, $5,000 a month, let's say. You look at any loans you have. So if you have student loans, if you have personal loans, I don't have any of those, and then you look at what your income is, and that's how they base, okay, you applied for this credit card. I'm going to give you a $500 limit because you're pretty extended right now, and I don't want to take that liability.
Yep. Well, and when we talk about limits, right? And so when your credit card, you have to look at the structure of how quick you have to pay it back. Car loans, right? We're at 7 years, so they take your income, for round numbers, let's say 20,000, right? And they times that by the 7 years, so it's 140,000 of income that you'll technically have. And then they give you that $40,000 car loan off of it because, right, you have that extra $80,000 open there. So, you know, and then every time that, again, when you go get a credit card, right, it's based off of how long it's amortized. Houses, 30-year amortization, right? I mean, so then they take your income and go, hey, this is your month, and then they pull it all together on a monthly pile and say, how much of my monthly budget of my income am I paying out in debt? And nobody wants a person that's gonna, you know, they make $1,000 and they're spending $998 guaranteed. That means you have $2 to have something go wrong in your life.
Well, you know, and I had a great conversation with Caitlin when she was here earlier, and we were talking about, you know, what does your budget look like? I said, you know, these are the conversations that we have now so that when something comes up, you can have a good idea of where you want to go with it. I said, you know, when we bought you your first car, I could afford to pay cash for it. Your mom and I sat down, we talked about it, and I made the decision that I don't want to pay cash for this because that would really drain my savings account. And if something happens, now I don't have the cash to do that anymore. And I weighed out how much I was going to pay in interest, which was, you know, $700-800 because I took a short-term loan. And at the end of the day, for that peace of mind, not to, you know, drain my account, I paid an extra $800 for it. And we do that stuff all the time. We have insurance for a reason. You know, how many claims have you turned in on your car insurance, Nick? Not your bike insurance, your car insurance.
Oh man, my car, zero my whole life. Yeah, my bike, a few, but my.
And how much do you pay for car insurance? You know, a few $100 every 6 months?
No, I pay quite a bit. You said me, not my wife. No,
Right.
So, I have three vehicles and a motorcycle, and I pay $162 a month. So,
and I mean, you know, we're paying that already for insurance. This is, you know, when you look at credit, you sometimes have to look at that as insurance. Am I draining my account? No, I'm not draining my account. I'm extending these out. You know, and when you look at credit score, these are things that need to matter to you because, like Nick said earlier, a 640 is going to get a different interest rate from 720. If you have that 720, you might save $500, $1,000 over the life of a car loan in interest. And I know Nick's answer to this because Nick typically pays cash as much as he can for cars.
yeah.
Nick, should you take out a 7-year loan on a car?
If it's like a 0% interest, sure.
But let's say it's not.
Yeah, let's say it's a normal. No, I don't think so. Right? It's a horrible idea, right? I mean, you know, you're
5 years max on a car.
max. I mean, honestly, I like to see 3 years, right?
I do too. I love 3-year loans.
If you can't see the end of a tunnel quick enough, you'll stop caring about it, right? You know, I'm honest with everybody. I took out a car loan, right? This was I don't know, 7-8 years ago maybe. I found a private seller of the car that I absolutely wanted, and I negotiated the price. So I found out I can get 1.2% interest rate on a car loan, and I'm over here making 4% on my money in a checking account or a savings account, and I was like, oh man, like it's kind of like at this point I'm making 2.8% interest, right? And so I was like, I don't really want to spend this. So I negotiate. It's funny because I figured out the math and I negotiated my interest. I was like, I'm going to pay like $200 and something in interest throughout this little bit of a loan, or 400. I don't even know what it was anymore. But I negotiated that price off of it. I was like, hey, you know, you want however much. I offered, of course, like $3,000 less, and I think I ended up settling for like $2,500 less. But I made sure that he was paying for my interest guaranteed because I was taking that loss. And I still got the thing. Yes, I could have made that extra $400 by paying it, but I made more than that by having the cash sit around. I'm not in a spot where I have, I mean, now I am, but still, like, I don't have millions of dollars sitting around and it gaining so much to where this $400 is actually going to, it was like, if you don't have a 10,000, you don't get the full max amount of the percent, right? So when you're at that point, you had to do it.
So when we're talking about this type of stuff, everybody has a friend who loves numbers and money. Nick and I are those friends. So one of my favorite shows is Parks and Rec, and there's a scene in that where Tom comes to Ben and he goes, I'd really like you to look at my finances here of this company. And Ben's like, oh, I thought you wanted to hang out as a friend. And he goes, yeah, but you're a dork. Don't you like this stuff? And he goes, yeah, I just sit in my mom's basement poring over spreadsheets. And Tom gives it to him and it's break evens. And he goes, oh, break evens, they are really fun. So Nick and I are those friends that if you bring us numbers, we're like, ooh, numbers, those are fun. Let's sit here and see what we can do with these numbers. I literally had a cell phone bill one year that Dawn and I weren't in it very long, and she'd made some payments on this, and we went in and they said we had a bill that I said we didn't have. I literally explained away this bill, and we actually owed it. They agreed with everything I said because my math was just dead on. It seems that she bought a car charger, and I thought it was a payment. So, I mean, when we finally got to the bottom of it, we realized, yeah, we really do owe $30 here. But they were right on board with me with that payment because my math it was dead on.
Yeah. Let's see. We were talking about pinching numbers and figuring it out. So we were talking to TJ on one of our episodes, right? So the insurance guy, and he's like, hey, can I quote your stuff? And I was like, here. And I was very honest, told him how lazy I am. And he's like, hey, send me, and he sends me this paper. I mean, it's just a list of stuff. And I was like, dude, no. Like, and he goes, well, just send me over, declaration pages. And I was like, fine. So I go to my email, send them out declaration pages that I had. They're like, oh, some of these are expired. And I was like, don't make your problem my problem. I don't really care, right? Like, you asked for something, I gave it to you. Like, you want it more than I want it, which sounds really dumb. So the lady calls me up. She's like, I can't save you money on your house, but I can save you $20 a month on your cars. But your house is going to cost you an extra $100. And I was like, well, at $100, I was like, that's $10 a month, or $8 a month, but you're saving me $20 a month on my cars. I was like, so in theory, like, you're saving me $120 a year. Like, that's good money. And so I was like, all right, let's see what we can do on a few of my rentals. Like, if it's really worth this, I'll give you the people to do cancellation paperwork. You fill it out. Again, if you want my business, you have to buy it because I don't care. I pay the bills. So when it comes to my favorite thing with credit, right, is discounts that you get using it. I love discounts, but yep. I need to be clear on that because when I say that, it's not, hey, let's go open an Old Navy credit card to get 60% off my first purchase, because guess what? You're going to do that, and you're going to go shopping and spend 100 times more than what you originally would have just to save that 60%. When I say you get a discount, it's on interest rates when you get loans. It's on all loans, houses, cars, boats, motorcycles, anything that you're going to possibly finance. You're going to save interest rate money.
Well, let's talk about savings for a minute, Nick, because our wives know each other. They're friends.
Yeah.
I have a feeling they're exactly the same when it comes to this. So our local grocery store, is Meijer. Or as, Michigan people say Myers, because, we have to add that S in there.
Well, it's plural, dude. We go to 2 of them at least every time.
Exactly. So we go shopping at Myers, and they do this thing on the fucking receipt, sorry for my cursing, that says how much you saved. Nick, do you hate that area of how much you saved?
Oh my God, yes.
It's the worst freaking area ever because you look at the bill and it's like $175, and then they tell you save $215.
Yep.
And I know my wife, and I will guarantee you his wife says the same thing. What? I saved $215.
But just
And
spend
I would look at that and go,
170.
I can save you 175. We just don't go to fucking Meyer. Am I right?
I say the same shit, man. You know, I say my favorite, but you do it different, right? I can say no. She goes, I saved $220, and I was like, okay, but I could have saved you 400. And she goes, how? And I was like, well, originally it would have cost you 225 plus the 175. That's $400 damn dollars. I could have saved that whole thing for you. We don't need to take small victories here. We're gonna take the whole victory, baby. Well, what would you eat? Ramen noodles all day. All day.
And we have done episodes on cheap meals.
Yeah.
Get a head of lettuce, cut it in 4 sections. You got dinner for 4 days.
4 days. So, well, yeah, no, that's
Getting
my
back
wife.
Getting back to credit scores and stuff here. So, you know, one of the things everybody wants to know, how long does something sit on my credit? And I talked about inquiries, that's 2 years. So let's talk about some of these other things. So I have an open account in good standing. And I'm going to quiz Nick here because I want to put him on the spot, okay? Nick, I have an open account in good standing. I always make my payments. They love me. How long does that sit on my credit?
Until it's closed?
Basically, yes, it's there forever because it's open. Why would they close it?
Yeah, I think I have one of those lines. And I'm not trying to be cocky in any way. I really think I have a $75,000 line of credit that I don't know where the credit card is. Anybody watching, don't go get that. But yes, I've just never closed it. I mean, it's with Chase, and I really think it's still open. I never got a notice that it was closed. So
these are going to get a little harder, and I'll bet Nick doesn't know some of these because he's not a big credit guy.
Yeah, no, say
a closed account in good standing. Any guess, Nick?
7 years.
You get 10 on those.
10. Okay.
10. So late or missing payments, how long did those stay on your credit?
7 years.
7 years on those. So if you miss a payment, they're going to report that for 7 years. One payment.
Yep. And it takes so many good ones to counteract a bad one.
It really does. So in lieu of that, a collection account. How long does a collection stay on your credit, Nick?
Yeah, I'm gonna go 10 years.
You know, I would have gone 10 years here too, but it is actually 7.
7, okay.
So after 7 years, collections will drop off of your account. We're going to get into collections in a little bit here because I love to talk about those. So Chapter 7 bankruptcy, which Chapter 7 means I pay nothing.
Yeah. 5 to 7 years.
10.
10 whole years.
Yeah.
Wow.
13. Chapter 13 bankruptcy.
For life.
Nothing is for life except for the open accounts. That one's 7.
7 years. All right.
That's the one you're paying back. So
yeah,
they figure they'll cut you 3 years off that one.
That's mighty nice of them.
It is, isn't it?
I'll take 13.
It's a funny thing about bankruptcy. The minute you file bankruptcy and it's discharged,
yeah,
they will send you credit card offers.
Oh, heck yeah.
You want to know why? Nick, do you know why?
Because they're going to get the most interest out of you. And they know
not
that
only,
they know
not
you like
only that, but you can't file for another 7 years. So if you get yourself into credit card trouble in the first year after your bankruptcy, you're stuck, you're screwed, you're paying.
That's good to know.
When we went through bankruptcy, Dawn and I sat there and we represented ourselves. There's a big bankruptcy attorney in Grand Rapids, I won't mention him, that told us, you have no money, you have to get back all your shit. And so we filed on our own because we had no money. And we sat there and a couple went before us, and it was their second time filing bankruptcy, and you know they'd filed it like 10 years earlier. And her and I looked at each other and said, will we ever do this again? And we're like, nope, this will never happen again. And in all honesty, the judge was nicer to us than anybody else because we did not come in with a lawyer. We didn't know what the hell we were doing. He was very nice to all of us.
So that's a positive.
It was.
I'm glad you're asking these questions because, right, like I get to ask, hey, have you filed bankruptcy on my leases or on my applications, and there's some people where it's do you have anything, but then they're older and they only have they have a low credit rating, but they have nothing much really on their credit thing, and so it explains bankruptcies a heck of a lot more. If they tell you, hey, they've been living at a place for the past 7 to 10 years with somebody else, yeah, because they couldn't get a place.
It really is a thing out there. You have to kind of know what you're doing, how you're playing the game. I always used to get mad because landlords use your credit rating against you. Car insurance uses your credit rating against you. It really matters, even though it doesn't necessarily paint a true picture of who you are as a risk.
Right. Well, I mean, it depends on who you work with, right? And so, but it's a very, when you look at it, it's a business thing, right? It takes into everything. Where, honesty is here. If a tenant comes to me and they have college debt and they have just $1 million in medical debt, normally they tell me, hey, my kid had, came premature, had this, like, this is why I have $1 million in debt. And I'm like, I don't care if you pay it, like, cool. I understand, right? Like, or, but they come and they have no evictions. They have, all their utilities are paid. Like, I look at it and go, okay, but other companies, right? When you're a business, you look at things as a general, am I going to pay this? Can I pay this? No. Like, I've had people point blank tell me, hey, I'm just not paying this. Why? Because I'll never pay it off and I don't care. And I'm like, okay, at least you're honest. Like, they're like, hey, I'd rather pay my landlord than pay a large corporation. And as crappy as that is for me as a landlord, I'll take a risk on them because I understand that, hey, this is their mindset. I mean, they have nothing else against them. So, when it comes to credit, really, if you make a minimum effort, which means pay your minimums, you're going to have good credit score. All you have to do is minimum things. Pay minimums, do minimums. The minimum you have to do is make one payment a month on everything, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Hey, I mean, for a minimum payment, and you're going to have good credit. Yep.
Well,
so
I think the other thing people don't really understand when it comes to, paying bills. So you'll get companies and even collections that'll sit there and try to scare you. If you're making good faith payments, there's nothing they can legally do to you. So you're paying them what you can afford. I remember one of the companies that was in my bankruptcy was City Financial, which is owned by Citibank. And at the time, I was paying them $5 a month because that's what I could afford. And they sent me my checks back in the mail. I just kept sending them $5 a month. And the judge turned around at one point and he goes, so what's this account? And I said, well, that's, City Financial. I sent them $5 and they just kept sending me my check back. He goes, oh, so you don't know that. You just put a check mark. We moved on with our day. It wasn't even included in the bankruptcy because according to them, by sending my checks back, I didn't have a debt with them anymore.
There you go.
So, I mean, you have to, reading is key. If you get into trouble, read as much as you can because it will tell you, what you can and can't do. And at least try to make good faith efforts with payments, which also brings me to a point here, Nick. So there's some quick things you can do to increase your credit score.
Yes, sir.
So I've done a lot of these in my life. One I do all the time, I get a copy of my credit report. And That's important for a lot of reasons. One of them is there's typically errors on your credit report, okay? If you're not checking them, nobody's ever going to know that that's an error. I will tell you right now, my credit report, if you pull it, I think it's from experience, says I work at Jumbo Sports. Jumbo Sports closed in 1997.
Nice. Yeah.
But according to them, that's where I work.
Good.
I think I made, I don't know, $6-7 an hour when I worked at Jumbo Sports in 1997 while I was in college.
Yeah.
I worked there for like 4 months because I was part of the, team that went in during the bankruptcy and helped close them down.
Yeah. And I say I don't pull my credit score that often anymore. I used to, I guess, when I was, normal financing homes. I would just get them pulled all the time. But I don't know when the last time I've had mine pulled. And I think it's a good thing to get it done because, as you said, right, like you don't know that you've had your identity stolen until you go to try to spend or try to get something, and then it's just a fight. So keeping on top of it's huge. It is something I should probably reach out to somebody and have them pull it for me here soon.
You can do that free every year. There's a free annual credit report every year. Look for the free one because there is also one that says it's free that after 30 days they charge you a crap ton of money. So make sure you do your due diligence and find the actual one that is free.
Yeah.
You can also sign up for some services, some that are free, some that are not, that will basically show you what your credit looks like every month. You can get some of those things. I get a free credit score every month with my Discover card, my Chase card, which is Amazon, my Speedway card, which is First Bank, and then Capital One. I just pulled my Capital One credit score a minute ago, and it's sitting at 796. So, I mean, it gives me an idea of what my credit looks like.
Sure.
And when you pull those credit reports, your big thing is find the negative accounts. If they really do belong to you, you know what you can attack. If they don't, you can dispute it and hopefully get those removed. Another thing you can do is obviously pay off credit card balances. That helps you raise your score, obviously, right away.
Yep.
Here's one that most people don't really understand. So you have collections on your account. Many people do, especially medical. Contact them. Talk to them and say, hey, how much will you take to settle this debt? Maybe they'll take less. Always ask, if I pay, will this remove the negative from my account? Will you take the negative off? If they say yes, that's an account you want to pay. If they say no, don't pay them a damn dime.
Yep.
Because if you pay them and they're not taking the negative off of your account, it didn't do you any good. Put that debt towards something that will actually reflect in your credit score.
Yeah.
We already went over disputing every negative. Dispute inquiries. If you don't think the inquiry is valid, dispute that. It only lasts for 2 years. Odds are you can get that taken off. And then another thing to do to build credit, it's what my mom did for me. It's what I did for my daughter. Get added as an authorized user on a card. Doesn't mean you have to use that card. Just get added as one. So you can add anybody. I can add Nick to one of my credit cards right now. It doesn't ask for anything other than his name.
Yep.
And if he doesn't have any credit, no, he's building credit off of my credit. In a year, he can go get, a loan because I have really good credit and I pay my bills and they think that he has something to do with that because he's on my credit card.
Well, now, David, if I go get cash on a credit line, does that help me more than getting, let's say, a furniture payment?
It depends. So if the furniture payment is on a store credit card, like we used to have Art Van before they closed.
Yep.
if you get it on an Art Van credit card, it probably is better just to take cash out of a credit card than it is to use an Art Van credit card, because they look at credit in different ways. So if you can only use this credit card at one store, it doesn't mean as much as, you know, a MasterCard that you can use at every store. So at that point, getting the cash off is probably better, but you have to realize what that's going to do to you. If you're not paying it off right away, they're going to charge you a boatload of interest, more than your regular account. If your regular account is at 18%, they're probably charging 22 for that cash. Even if you don't take 30 days to pay that back, they're probably charging you some kind of fee to take that money out of that credit card.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm finding is, you know, right when you take it out, it hits you with a percentage. I mean, it's not like a normal 30-day credit limit.
Yeah, there are those as well.
Most of my big purchases are cash. You know, and you know, a lot of contractors, right? So if I'm doing $8,000 roof, right, I'm paying them cash. If it's a $12,000 siding job, I'm paying them cash, right? So normally, because right, if I'm paying credit card, that company that takes credit card, I mean, they're going to be charging me 18 to 20,000 for that siding. They're going to be charging me, you know, 12 grand for the roof. Where, you know, first I'm getting the cash, and then I tell them, hey, it's real cash. I'm getting a discount for that. Like, you know, so I build credit with the people that matter, say, you know, because they'll come do work for me because they know they're getting paid.
Well, and you know, if you go pay 12,000 on a roof and you pay in cash, and I'm building your roof, I'm making 12 grand. If you pay with a credit card, you're costing me roughly $360 just by paying me with a credit card.
Yep.
So I mean, you know, even when I'm doing things, if I can use cash in a smaller business, I'm going to.
Yeah.
But I'll never use cash at Walmart, or I don't shop at Home Depot, but if I did Home Depot, Menards, I'm not using cash at any of those places. I don't really care that it costs them money for me to swipe my card. It makes me money. It costs them money. That's a win-win to me.
Yeah. Well, it's a, you know, and I don't know. I carry cash and pay cash for everything. Just so much. Say, if you know, if I'm going to Home Depot, I'm probably paying cash. You know, unless I absolutely need to you know, put my card in the machine. But and you'd be surprised how many of the like crazy looks I get for, you know, whipping out cash. Like I say, I always carry it with me. And like right now, I have payment for flooring that's going in tomorrow. So when I tell people I literally pay cash, I mean, you can see I got sticky notes sitting in there, like, you know, but it's actual cash that I'm handing these people. You know, everybody's like, oh, it's a check. No. Like if I'm closing a deal, we count out hundreds right on the table. So if I pay cash for a car, like, I'm an honest person. What you do with your money and what you claim, that's on you. But the honesty's on me. You know, I've kept my side of things. I pay my taxes. I do everything. So.
Well, you know, I made the comment to Caitlin the other day, cash is king, and she had never heard it before. And she goes, I don't understand what that means. I'm like, it means cash is better than any other form of payment because it's immediate, it's guaranteed, it's there, it's king.
Yep. Well, that's like, you know, you talked about Art Van, and again, we go back to credit, right? So Art Van would give you, you know, they would give you 0% interest, or even a low interest rate for 3 years, right? Which is pretty good.
Yep.
Or they give you 25% off for cash.
Yep.
Right. Even these companies that sold, you know, goods or services, they give you a bigger discount for cash because they know how many people are going to default on their furniture, on their beds, you know, whatever it is. The amount of defaults is crazy. So, you know, they'll take a lower interest for a longer period of time, but it's full price plus interest, where this one, there's, hey, we'll knock off money if you just guarantee us money. back just the same thing as, so that basically they do all the hard work for you. Because we talk about calling to get debts consolidated, or, so they do the hard work for you. They're like, you know what, we know you're going to screw up. So if you just pay us this, 20, 25 or 75% of your amount of debt that you would normally have, we'll just close your account now and you take it with you. Or, we'll just let you go for a long period of time making small payments.
So funny story about Art Van, which, they went out of business. They're big furniture store here in the area. Caitlin, when she, decided she's moving out and she got her own place, she needed a couch. So her mom went out and looked at a bunch of places and she goes, hey, there's a decent couch at Art Van. It's this much. All right. So we went and looked, and yeah, she liked it. It was a nice couch. And then we found a chair that she liked, and we paid for the warranty that they have on it, which, if you don't use the warranty, they basically give you store credit, come back and buy new stuff in 5 years. And 2 months later, they filed bankruptcy and the warranty was useless.
Yep.
So I get a hold of Capital One and I'm like, yeah, I want my money back on that warranty because that warranty is crap. And they said, okay. And I look at my account 2 days later and Capital One disputed the entire amount of the purchase. Caitlin ended up with her furniture for free.
There you go. I mean, they're the ones filing bankruptcy, so they don't have the funding to back what they purchased. That's on them.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's false sales right there at that point, right? I mean, you're promising something that's not possible. So,
yep. Well, I'm one of those people that, anytime I'm doing a transaction, I like to do it with credit because I know I have some kind of safeguards on my money.
Yep.
So like we had bought, Caitlin, there was this convention she liked every year. It was Heroes and Villains. She loved going to it. It had a bunch of people from the CW superhero shows that she likes. So every year they'd run a sale after she went where, you could get a VIP ticket for, 75% of what it normally costs. And I tell her, I'm like, hey, you want to do that? You go every year. No big deal, do that. So she bought that like 2 weeks after the 2019 show. And by October, it was obvious that this company had no money and they were going to go out of business. Credit cards will help you within 90 days, maybe 6 months. You're looking at a year later, you're pretty well screwed. So, of course, we get a hold of Capital One. We tell them what's going on, and they're like, well, we can't do anything until the date passes. If the date passes, get a hold of us. So, of course, the pandemic hits, the date passes, convention doesn't happen. We get a hold of Capital One, and they go, yep, we're going to refund that money. So she got all her money back from that, too, which, had she paid cash, she's going to be out that money. It's never coming back.
Sure. And that, I say, I think there's positives to it, right? And, that's what it's chances you're having to take, right? And you're on the better chances. You have somebody else who cares about your money as well. Granted, they care about getting your money, but they also care about your money, so that way they can get it instead of somebody else. I want to talk real quick about building credit. When you're older, right? I mean, so most people think about credit, when you're younger, and hey, you have to build to get to a house, and you have to build for everything else. Well, you know what? I say most people forget that, when you go to a retirement center, right? I mean, you can get into retirement centers based off of Medicare or Medicaid, but if you have a couple dollars to rub together, right? I mean, they're gonna look at your credit and say, hey, yep, this person can come to our assisted living, and you can buy your condo in these places, right? You can just like David, your mom, right? She co-signed on your daughter's loan, right? So having credit for the long period of time can help others. And if you're the person, right? I mean, your mom has your mom has enough money to pay Caitlin's loan in case she can't.
Yep.
And then she'll gain all the equity out of it, right? I mean, it's in her name, but if she defaults, it becomes her responsibility. So she's gonna, she'll fight. Worst case scenario, she goes to the court and fights for every dollar that she put into it, and then she'll gain the interest on it. I say the judge will have a heyday with that one, but it'll cost you more money to do it. But just know that you don't always have to build, but you should always maintain credit, right? Once you get there, just plateau and maintain it.
So I'm gonna say this so I don't forget it. A little shout out on the podcast or the vlog this week. Nick, happy birthday to Archie, who's now 40 years old.
Yeah, I just got off the phone with him right before I got onto here. I say my grandfather won't listen to this, won't hear this, but happy 82nd birthday to the best guy I know. If you want to know who he is, he's just me, just not as good financially, but say he's a smart guy. So everything I am is because of him. So happy birthday, Grandpa. I want to give a big shout out to New Glarus, because that thing went down so smoothly again. Day two of my 12 days of milkshake stouts. What a fantastic day. I can't wait for tomorrow. And we do them random. We do a blind test. We open the box backwards, put our hand in, grab one random one, and that's what it is. So
I will have to say, Rochester Mills, I really enjoyed the chocolate chip pancake milkshake stout. That was phenomenal. Trail Point, thank you for the vanilla Von Doom. If you guys would like to sponsor us, we are more than happy to take free beer.
Yeah, it's sick. Rochester Mills, really. I'll even drive down there and get it if that's what it takes. Okay.
Absolutely, road trip.
Yeah, for sure. We'll come right when the place opens up, and we'll use your Wi-Fi and drink your beer. We're gonna be those beggars. No, say we'll bring people with us that are gonna drink. But really, guys, we said it already in the episode. Like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell your family, tell the people you hate, so that way we annoy them too. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope you learned a little something. If you didn't, tell us what you didn't learn so we can help you learn it.
Yeah, honestly, if you have any ideas for shows, please let us know. Watch the kids' episodes with your kids. Give us some feedback. We'd love feedback. We were so excited about those 3 episodes we did this last weekend. I'm going to upload that other one probably towards the end of the week, just, to give you some time to digest the ones that are out there. Thanks for joining us. Next week, like I said, we're going to do our first debt talk. That's going to be phenomenal. I'm really excited to do those. If you have debt, or if you don't have debt and you'd like to talk about it, reach out to us. We'd really like to talk to you. I know that we'd like to get some younger people on. I sent a message to Ashley the other day, who Nick and I coached, saying, hey, we'd really like to talk to you about your debt. She had a big success this year by paying off some debt. Love to have her come on and just talk about, where she's at, because she's young. We'd really like to start exploring that even more than what we already have. So for those of you that are watching, happy holidays, because next week's is already pre-taped, so we won't get to say happy holidays. Hanukkah, is that pretty much over now?
Oh, I say this is only night number 5, man.
I'm a horrible Jew. I have no fucking idea.
I celebrate Hanukkah every year, man. I absolutely love it. So 3 more days or 3 more nights, and we'll have a party doing it. So guys, take care. I really appreciate everything that you guys do for us.
All right, we'll see you guys soon.